I'm Crystal Rose Fricker with Pure Seed Testing and Pure Seed, President.
I'm Kelly Lynch, Regional Manager for the Northern U.S. for Pure Seed.
I think we're different in that some of our staff wear a lot of different hats. For example, we have a research breeding company, and so we're out there rating our own turf plots, looking at all the varieties, comparing them. And then we also have Pure Seed, the production marketing company, where we do production with growers. We have the service piece where we coat, package, and handle seed and ship it around the world. And then we travel. So we're out there with the end user trying to understand what the problems are, what traits our customers need. And we also get to see the end results of our products and how they perform. That enables us to go back to Oregon and a research farm in North Carolina and develop new varieties for the future that make a difference.
I love that, Crystal, and I think it would also be a good time to share maybe a little bit of the history of the company, privately held, family owned, and maybe give us a little bit of a history of why this company is so unique.
Sure, yeah, we are a little different that way, is that my father, Bill Rose, started all our companies, and they're family owned. We have a board of my brother and sister and I that sit on the board for all our companies. And we're involved with Tita Green, which is the creeping bentgrass company. We develop varieties for them, work with those growers. We worked with the Manhattan Ryegrass Growers Association. We have a long history of getting bluegrass going in production and in the markets, coming from Oregon, Washington, Idaho areas. And so we work in all the different levels, and we're 3 generations now. So my son and daughter are also involved in the businesses and breeding and marketing and communication. So it's kind of cool that way that we're a family. We can make quick decisions. We can communicate well with the end market, and we're involved literally hands-on through all parts of our businesses.
I think the unique thing that we have is we're a research forward company. And so a lot of our varieties are, Crystal breeds and Dr. Melody Frazier and Austin Fricker breed, are designed solution based, whether it's drought resistance, disease resistance,
salt tolerance, shade tolerance.
Yeah, you can do your thing. I'll let you do the research thing. But then we also, when we look to provide varieties for ATS, they're intentional. So their formulas based on region, their formulas based on, we should probably speak about TWCA as well. But they're really we're looking at solutions for the end user. And so it would be like the advanced turf type tall fescue, ATS's branded products. It would be the 90-10 turf type and bluegrass. And then we have a blue rye. There's several varieties that are in those branded products, but it's very intentional on your part of which varieties are in those.
Yeah, brands. Yeah, and Pure Green Pro Creeping Bentgrass blend is specifically designed for ATS and their customers, and it's just really taken off, doing well, as well as the Pure Way blend for the fairways. So looking at specific varieties that bring specific traits, shade tolerance, traffic tolerance, we do look at a lot of these traits and do a lot of screening and collect a lot of data. And so we make decisions when we go forward with a variety, and then work with ATS to pick those varieties to put in their products. And then we also have to go even further than that, is once they pick the varieties, we have to think 3 years ahead and get them produced and get the quality of seed, and work with growers to actually collect, harvest, clean, test, blend, package, and get those to the end user. So it's a long process. And if you go from the start of developing a variety, it's easily 10 to 15 years before it gets into the hands of the end user. So being intentional together, I think, is what makes us stronger. The Pure Green Pro Creeping Bentgrass blend for greens is ideal because it combines the traits of several varieties that have fast growing under cool temperatures, for example, but also have overall good disease resistance, dollar spot, brown patch, things like that. And we've been screening them in North Carolina, which is the litmus test for bentgrass on greens and fairways. And so when they survive there, we know we have a winner. And also we put our varieties in NTEP and get all that data. But if you can survive the armpit, so to speak, of North Carolina, and then we start with golf courses in that area, and when they love it, we know we've got a winner. So we put those best varieties together, and that is what's in Pure Green Pro. Also, Pure Way has ideal varieties for fairways. So varieties that can take a little more shady fairway conditions, can handle the traffic, good grow-in, all those traits that you really want in a bentgrass that superintendents need to be able to trust. We've combined it all together so they have the best of all the worlds that they need for the best performance from multiple varieties. For shade, it's a tricky deal. You know, everybody thinks fine fescues, and they do well in shade, but then fine fescues can't take traffic quite as well. So if you're going to have an area that needs a lot of traffic, whether that be on a golf course or a home lawn or a sports field, we need to think a little differently. So bluegrass, we actually now have Kentucky bluegrasses that perform really well in the shade. The difficulty to be able to perform well in the shade, in my opinion, is disease resistance, tillering, and being able to take the traffic under those conditions. So we look at all that. Our bluegrasses are bred to have rust resistance and powdery mildew resistance. And that's why they can persist in the shade and survive. And so then we can combine those with the perennial wiregrass or other species that a manager needs for those conditions. And the rhizomes of the bluegrass help it persist, give it that better tolerance and growability. Whereas if you just, for example, plant perennial wiregrass by itself, when you have low light intensities, it can get very etiolated and thin out. So we even screen our ryegrasses, have the best variety for that, but then put other things with it to make it even stronger. One of the most important things these days, I feel, with the grass seed industry is the value of our grasses that use less water. And that's an educational piece that we need to help get the word out there, because there are really good choices where we can use 40% less water. And it's not just our opinion or your opinion or ATS's opinion. This is supported by more than just data. It's actually supported by a third-party validation. So the Turfgrass Water Conservation Alliance has universities out there that are analyzing these varieties, looking at the data, and choosing what they feel is the upper elite variety that performs to these standards. And when they choose a variety that gets qualified, you can believe that it will save water and it will make a difference. And so that's why we stand behind that, because we do all the breeding work, we do all the research to try and prove that our varieties make a difference. But if we can have university folks look at it, validate it, we feel like that's like Energy Star for grasses. And the end user, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for something they can look at a brand, they believe it, they trust it, it performs and it works, and they don't have to study the data themselves. They're trusting us as a team to provide them with a solution that is validated and real and will make a difference for them. And we've seen the benefits of that long term, and we believe that's our future.
And Crystal, we talk a lot about end users and ATS end users. Tell us, in terms of being a homeowner, we take the difficulties out of it. We're gonna provide research. We're gonna provide the data. We're gonna provide the solutions. That's what goes into an ATS bag. So talk to us about that. That we're supporting ATS in that, but really the research is and the value that is going into that bag. So it makes it easy for the homeowners. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, what the Turfgrass Water Conservation is multiple companies, not just Pure Seed, not just ATS, but as an industry coming together and helping that educational piece. So working with municipalities, working with governments. There's some cities now that are actually saying that's what they'll use. They're speccing TWCA varieties. And so homeowners are hungry for that. They're like, really? They didn't even know there was something like that. So when that gets on the news, which is happening, it's spreading in city by city, state by state. That's becoming the norm, the thing that's requested. And all they need is, where do I get the seed or the sod? How do I plant it? How do I maintain it? How do I take care of it? And voila, we're using less water. And oh, we can have grass instead of taking all our grass out. And so that's really the ultimate goal, is to help people have good grass.
So one of the really, I think, Crystal, fun things that we should talk about is that there's so many yards out there, but there are so many sports fields out there as well. And perhaps you could share with us a little bit about this year's World Cup and what happened on a global stage.
Mm-hmm. It was very exciting. We were fortunate to do the research about 8 years ahead of the World Cup and having our varieties trialed in the Middle East. We had to travel over there and work with the local folks that were handling those fields, and we developed some perennial ryegrass blends that were overseeded on the platinum seashore paspalum base of the World Cup fields. So we had practice fields, and all 8 of the fields in the World Cup had perennial ryegrass, which ATS also markets on the World Cup. And so we've been getting a lot of media attention from that, and it's exciting to see when you start talking to people about grass and what it takes to get grass from Oregon in the US all the way to Qatar in the Middle East and all the steps in between. And they're like, what? We had no idea that all that went into grass. But it's important to us because we really want to provide an excellent playing surface for those athletes. They're putting everything on the line. And this is a world stadium. So players from all over the world, different countries, are experiencing our grass from the US. And it just really warmed our heart to be able to do that. And just think that it's important for the rest of our customers to understand the value of what we're producing and how it meets those needs, and it can meet their customers' needs too and perform just as well.
Exactly. And just like that's their championship, that's also our championship. Those are fun things that we get to do that a lot of people don't always associate. When the same grass could be in your yard, was also
so
on the same field at the World Cup, and the Alp soccer pitches.
And that's actually one of our family's goals. My father had that idea that why can't the homeowner have really good grass, just like the sports fields and the pro market? And so advance 30 years today, we can do that. Yeah. And ATS is an example of that. And I think together we're winners.
Partnership.
Got it.